Welcome back to Fox News Sunday. Let's turn now to Senator Joni Ernst in Iowa, member of the Armed Services Committee, a veteran. Senator, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shannon.
I'm hoping you heard part of our conversations with the ambassador and also with Senator Murphy. Any reaction from you?
Yes, well, Ambassador Markarova is doing a phenomenal job working with the United States Congress and our administration. And certainly Senator Murphy has been a great partner. This is where you see Republicans and Democrats coming together to aid Ukraine and, of course, to provide stability for Europe. This is an important time in our history, and we absolutely must do what we can to protect Ukrainians.
Senator, you were the first female combat veteran elected to the Senate. You sit on the Senate Armed Services Committee. What's your position on the request for a no-fly zone?
Well, I do agree with Senator Chris Murphy. I think that we cannot engage with Russians. And I am thankful that President Zelenskyy is stepping up and making all kinds of requests. That's what he should do as the president of Ukraine. However, we do not want to engage directly with Russians. And as he stated, it would be World War III. And I don't think that's in the best interest of NATO, our partners and allies and friends. But what we can do is provide all the defensive mechanisms for President Zelenskyy and his armed services to provide their own protected airspace. And that starts, of course, with providing air platforms to President Zelenskyy, making sure that those pilots are able to protect their own airspace.
You have written in an op-ed on FoxNews.com about this conflict, and you note the 1994 Budapest memo in which Ukraine gave up its nukes in assurance in return from a number of, the UK, the US, Russia itself, that they would have sovereignty and territorial integrity. So obviously Putin is not playing by these rules. From that or many other agreements at this point, and yet the rest of the world is trying to play by the rules. How do we engage this level of warfare with him where he's clearly not willing to abide by norms?
Yes, President Putin has just taken these agreements, and they're basically no more than pieces of paper to him. However, we do need to abide by these agreements. But in the meantime, we need to make sure that we're reinforcing Ukraine and providing as much lethal aid as possible. We do know that the burn rate for lethal aid that we've sent into Ukraine has gone up as the Russians have changed their strategy both in the air and on the ground. So reinforcing that will be extremely important, but also humanitarian aid, making sure that we are able to provide for those refugees that will be flowing into Europe. I understand there's over 1.5 million displaced people now. So again, helping our Polish friends, anyone in those other countries that need assistance. So there's a lot that we can do, but you're right. These agreements, they need to mean something, but to Vladimir Putin, again, they're just pieces of paper.
I talked with the ambassador earlier about the fact that Ukraine is trying to document evidence of war crimes. Our own Secretary of State Blinken has said this morning that there's, quote, very credible evidence of war crimes. Does that change the calculus for you at all on a no-fly zone or any of the other ways in which the U.S. is engaged?
Not at this point, no. Again, once we engage with Russians directly, that does involve all of our NATO partners as well. This gives Russia the opportunity then to attack not only the United States, but also others in Europe. And it's a very tenuous situation as we sit today. We certainly don't want to see it deteriorate any further. However, there need to be very stiff pushbacks on Vladimir Putin, the oligarchs, and on Russia. Because of this action that they've taken against Ukraine. We cannot allow this to go unchecked now or in the future.
I talked with Senator Murphy about this bipartisan bill that's gaining support on the Senate side, banning Russian imports, energy imports into the U.S. The White House has expressed some concern about that, has pushed back. They're worried about soaring gas prices among, the bad news that we're getting about inflation and other economic indicators. Here's what White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said on that front.
Our objective here and our focus is making sure that any step we take maximizes the impact on President Putin and minimizes it on the American people. And anyone who's calling for an end to the carve-out should be clear that that would raise prices.
And indeed, Senator, this morning we're getting a report that the national average has topped $4 a gallon now. That's only the second time that's happened in history. So do you get her point?
I understand that point. However, what we have seen in this administration is the shutdown of American energy independence. And in last year alone, we were importing Russian oil, 672,000 barrels a day. We have become much more reliant upon Russia and President Putin instead of providing jobs and energy security right here on the homeland. So I recognize that we are in a difficult position, but his choices, the administration's choices when he first came into office, put us in this tenuous position with energy independence in the United States. Instead of being an exporter of energy, we became a consumer of Russian oil. This needs to stop. I would much rather ramp up American energy production here in the United States than provide dollars to Russia and to President Putin to fund the war machine that is killing innocent civilians in Ukraine.
Senator, I want to quickly ask you about a little bit of family business. There's been some debate within the party. Republican Senator Rick Scott put out an 11-point plan. It would ask every American to pay at least a little income tax in order to, quote, have skin in the game. He even put out an op-ed about this. It's why I'm defying Beltway cowardice. He says, if we have no bigger plan than to be a speed bump on the road to socialism, we don't deserve to govern. Most Republicans in Congress agree, but many live in fear of speaking the truth in Washington, which we all know can be a bit dangerous. That's my ad there. Republican leader Mitch McConnell says not going to raise taxes. What's the conversation now between these two and internally, the party?
Well, certainly that's up for Leader McConnell and Senator Scott to figure out. I am very focused on representing my constituencies here in Iowa and making sure that they have a voice at the table. I think every Republican, as we step forward, will determine what is in the best interest for their own party dynamics within their states and defending what we believe to be true. Liberty, freedom, you name it, that's what we're for. We want to see prosperity in the United States, and each of us have a very important role and voice, no matter where we are.
Senator Ernst, thank you very much. Always great to talk with you.
Yes, thanks so much, Shannon.